Good morning, everyone. I want to show you a little bit about why I love collage and do a demo that can help you get started, even if it's something brand new. Let's get started on making collage. Hope you can see well by the angle of my phone video. What I have here is some 5x7 paper, which I have attached by loop tape to some cut up board here. I have some old book pages. I have things that I've cut out from magazines. I have letters, text is what I mean, cut out from the Dimension magazine. I wanted to use only very accessible papers for you guys because, again, I'm not sure how many people watching this have done much collage, and also because I want you to be able to use the things that you have at home right now. This is some wrapping paper I got at the Dollar Tree. This is just the mesh that comes around your potatoes or onions here. It's just some tissue paper I had with polka dots. This is some leftover fabric from mask making. This is some bits of a landscape mesh that I found outside of Lowe's the other day. And this is from an old font book. This is an old encyclopedia page, which is talking about the nucleus and cell theory, which is pretty interesting. It turns out that thrift stores won't take old encyclopedias. So anyway, I had some from my parents. Okay. So it's really great to work in a series like this because it lets you work in a more intuitive sort of way without being, overworking something. You're still kind of keeping in mind, basic design principles, including the rule of thirds, which is basically if you were to take and divide this up into 9 squares, the rule of thirds says that where that composition breaks into one of those points that's at the 1/3 mark, that's where you'll have the strongest composition. You could look that up and check that out. So I have made a few choices. I don't know what I'm going to use yet for my collage. I haven't laid out everything before I did this video because I want it to be authentic, which means it may not be that good. I'm not sure, but it's okay. It's all about the process right now. I think we really need this with COVID and just the kind of generalized pressure and anxiety we're all experiencing right now. And I think art is always important in that expression and that escape. And it's especially important right now. It's not frivolous in any way. Okay. So I love text. I used to work as an ad designer in the newspaper. But I just love the way it looks. So some of the time I'm going to obscure what it's saying because I don't want to make it literal. Like I don't want to for me personally, I mean it's an individual thing, but I don't want to tell the person what to feel about it or think about it. So I'm not going to say, peace or love or anything like that on here. But I have, over this period, made some collages, with a little bit of the news of the day going on with the COVID. In fact, this old dictionary page actually at the top says bereaved, which I think is apropos to what a lot of us are feeling right now. Okay, so here are some of my different things that I have to use. I won't use all of them. And my color plan, I'll call it, is grayscale with some golds. And this I actually retrieved from I think think it was a Chrysler Museum magazine. Okay. All right. I could use stamps. These are some stamps from an old letter to my mother from quite a while ago. I have some Japanese writing, which is beautiful here. All right, so what I'm going to do is, I have my medium over here. You can use whatever you want to, whatever you have handy. This is a mixture of Yes paste with, I think it's golden glazing medium. And I'm going to use a craft brush that I'll wash afterwards, and I'm going to put things down using that kind of paste. Okay, I do a lot of ripping lately. I do have scissors handy, but it's just kind of what I do. So I'm going to go ahead. I could go, you know, for you, you might want to sort of lay it out using the glue stick. You could lay out some of your papers and photograph them with your cell phone. I've done that before. That's quite helpful. But this is a little bit how I work. Because this takes a minute to dry, I could still shift it or move it. Okay, so if I want to have a little bit of this on all of my pieces, I'm going to go ahead and put them somewhere. Okay, I'm going to put them somewhere, and that will tie these together. Yeah. Okay. You may hear some dachshund sounds in the background. We had to put Oscar into the crate because he really just doesn't know how to behave when I'm talking. He wants to play and whine and so on. So, all right. Okay, so this is what I have so far, and I don't have a lot of glue on it. I can still move it around. Okay. One of the things I like to do is to take my text. So this just says "we are." It was just part of an ad, and I'm not sure what the original message was. Okay, I like to tear it and then sort of reposition it in some way in which you get the graphic element of the text, but it's, you know, it's different, right? You don't know what it's exactly saying. Let me put some of that down and show you what I mean. Okay, so I could kind of play around with what is that going to look like? How am I going to place this in an interesting way? Okay, so that's what I have there. And then I have this other piece, which I can just use here somewhere. And I thought I had another piece. Kind of, some of these little papers can slip away. Maybe I'll find it later. No big deal. Okay. All right, let's go into some of our patterns and images that I cut yesterday. This is from an article about dance in Virginia, okay? And just love the lines, love the patterning there. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. So I'm using this brush to paint medium. I don't want any bubbles or anything strange like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue that here. And now I want to find something else over here. Okay, kind of playing around with where I might place this. again, I'm not overthinking this. It's paper, so that means that I can, you know, I can cover it up. Actually, the glue doesn't dry too fast, so I can also simply, you know, move it later. Okay, so maybe right there. And then I can later just cut that little end piece that's hanging off. Okay, let me find some other bits. Got these interesting triangles. I love architecture, so that always works well for me. What I think I am really attracted to right now during these very difficult days for so many is that I'm working on these rather small collages, and instead of doing, you know, paintings and some of the work that you might think about me with, like you know, do oil and coax and so on. And I still love those things. It's just, I don't know, it's just something about this. It's intimate, and I don't have to, I don't know. It's just really, it really feels good right now. It feels, yeah, I guess it just feels intimate. It feels personal to me right now in a way that I can do at home. Okay, so this was some great big gigantic text, and I didn't want the letters to necessarily be recognizable. So it's black text on a white background. And at any point, of course, I could cut or tear any of these papers any way I want. This is part of what looks like a K, and then I've trimmed it so that you get this nice sort of triangle shape here. I want the text to go over top of the letter, I think. So to that end, I think I'll tuck it under this beautiful Japanese text. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Got some other choices here if we want to add a little bit. I'm also thinking about shape. I don't want all my shapes to be the same size. I want to have a nice sense of variety. And I think I'll go ahead and, yeah, so I'm thinking, you know, I'm just kind of making choices. I don't want to think too long about anything right now, but I think I'll put that there. It has almost a house shape. Again, I'm interested in these angular shapes too, and the architecture. Everything is impermanent, and we're sort of reminded of that right now a little even more than in the past. Okay. Be quiet, Oscar. He's a nut. He's a rescue, and we love him. Thank God. Okay. All right. Okay, I got this nice old dictionary page from a thrift store, but you might have an old dictionary. We don't use dictionaries that much nowadays. Sometimes I might slant it. I might sort of tear it in the shape so it ends to join up in a certain way to the other piece. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, and if the paper's coming up, you know, you can always just dab some more medium And you can, of course, go over the top of it. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit more of this dictionary page here somewhere. Oh, okay, that's cool. It actually already has a little bit of a slant over here, which I could accentuate some way. Okay, a lot of humble materials. Sometimes I will make monotypes or you know, jelly prints, or some papers where I, you know, drip ink, or you know, just to have extra papers that can inspire me to do something a little bit new. All right, I think I'll tear that this way, and maybe I'll overlap this. I'm new to the whole videotaping thing. I've made some YouTubes for my students, which you can access actually. They're my YouTube, which is under Eloise Paints, which is the same as my Instagram. All right. Okay, so far this is what we have. We don't know what orientation, you know, we'll use yet. It doesn't really matter. I do want to use some of our wrapping paper too. So I wonder what it tears like. This is our Dollar Tree. Depending on how you tear it, you can get this kind of really cool edge, which you could go over in pencil if you wanted it to be gray, so on and so forth. Okay. And you can cut this, you know, I have, when I first started collage, I did mainly just sort of cutting super geometric shapes, and I do both now, so. Oops. Sometimes you have to cut it and then tear it, especially if it doesn't want to sort of tear into a line. So I'm gonna just tear it now. My hands are getting a little sticky from the medium. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm thinking about fitting this right here. And again, I can cut out what overhangs my 5x7. You can make it smaller. You could make a square format. I love a square format, but I was thinking about if you had 11x14 Bristol board, which is what I'm using for this, or 11x14 watercolor paper or whatever, then you could divide that up pretty easily into 5x7. Okay, I have these cool numbers too, which I'll get to. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. I think I'll put this little triangle of the polka dot paper right there. Let's see if I can kind of tear it into a triangle shape. Okay. Right. Okay, so there it is. Oops. Got an old sheet covering up my dining room table here. Okay, and now I want a little bit of yellow over here somewhere, and it kind of makes sense to be in this little spot, or I don't know, somewhere over here. Okay, let's see what I've already created, if I can work that in. just going to glue the back per usual, just using this brush. You can use your fingers, obviously. I don't know why I say obviously, but you could use your fingers, but it does keep you from getting so messy if you have a brush you don't mind using. And luckily this medium does wash out. If you wash it right away when you're done, you'll be able to get that stuff off of it. Okay, I generally don't leave any white space. It tends to look unfinished to me. I just let the text be the white space if it needs white space. Oh, there's our other little gray one that we lost, or I lost earlier. Okay, so let me go ahead and put that in this one, somewhere cool. And I'm also wanting to not position it the same place as where I've positioned the other ones. Okay. Jerry's and Michael's are still doing the drive-up service, so if you know what you want, you can easily get it there. If you, which I understand, a lot of people are not wanting to give too much business to Amazon right now. All right. Well, I'm kind of liking the direction it's going into. I hope this is not too slow for you guys. Protoplasm. These are just some images of the cell, the resting nucleus from the encyclopedia. I kind of want to read that now, so now I don't want to completely tear that up. Okay. That's a danger of dealing with National Geographic. Oh, wow, that's interesting. I didn't read that before. Now I want to read it. Let me see what that's about. Okay, these are just some paper, some cardstock that I brayered over some gray paint over, and that might be something nice to put in here in spaces. Okay, sometimes I like the torn paper to show there, and other times I don't want it to take away from the design. I heard an organizer, which this works perfectly in design as well. You know, if everything's important, nothing's important. And then my wonderful painting teacher and friend Corinne Lilliard Mitchell said, don't let anything be too precious. That was the other real valuable message that I remember. Okay, so I'm putting some of this cardstock paper that I had just used a brayer, you know, one of those little rubber roller things with some little bit of paint on to make this nice gray color here. At any point that I don't think something's working and I've glued it down, I'm not stuck because it's collage. So I can lift it off, I can paste other things over top of it, and so on. What I like about this Yes paste, which you could use by itself, and I have, or mixed with this glazing medium, is it seems to work pretty well with your medium weight or your lightweight papers. Sometimes I'll use heavy gel if I have something that's... Okay, I'm back. This is par for the course with the doxies. Anyway, I felt like it was time for them to go outside and go to the bathroom. All right, you hear the tip-tap of little doggy feets. All right, I also have tissue paper. I have this is from Walmart. This is from, I don't know where, I've had it a while. And then I've got some black and white stripes. So you see I'm getting the lines versus the round shape thing going, which is fun. I have this mesh, which is pretty cool, which I would probably put over top of something. And I have numbers, really love the numbers. So let's see if we can add one of these numbers somewhere. Okay. Again, I'm just tearing it, just feel like doing that. Okay. I tore it in a way that I wasn't too excited about for this one spot, but that's all right. You know, there's a certain amount of just wabi-sabi that happens, and now that it's sort of angled, I like it. I just have another area where I'll need to tuck some paper underneath it. Now that we've been home so much, they're just wanting us to be with them all the time and paying attention to them. You know, like kids. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of this old page text from an old typing book. I took typing way back in the day. And typing is a skill, or was a skill that we used to use then. And I was awful at it at first. I think I was close to failing. And then it clicked. And then I had an A and I was thrilled and I was like, yay. And it helped when I was in college because we still had to type out our papers and all of that. Okay, so this is what we have so far. I know this is getting a little bit long at this point. I can edit some of it down. I have some red papers here. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them or not. My mom always says, oh, you have a bit of red in there. That's perfect. She always looks for a little bit of red in the video. I mean in work. Okay. Got another, it's actually letters, but it looks like zeros. And I can put that somewhere as well. So I'll do that. I think I'll tuck it under our little line here if it's not completely glued. There we go. Sometimes you could take a piece of paper and just smooth it down. Or like a damp, if you're actually putting the medium over top of it, you could take a paper towel that's squeezed out, or just with a little teensy bit of water and kind of go over it to wipe off any excess and make sure that everything's pressed down perfectly. Okay, so now we need a little bit more of the gray paper over here somewhere, possibly. And again, I'm not sure where I'm putting it. I think I'll just put it here at the top for now. It's always great to work in a little bit of a series because you don't overwork something. You depend on your intuition as you're going from one piece to the other. And you get some really nice things happen from that. So, all right. Oh, you know what? I had torn up the Chrysler Museum page here of ancient artifacts. So I've got the Pharaoh and his eyes, and this is a little peachy, so that's and then there's the gold and the black, so that might be our little nod to red, so to speak, depending on how we use that. Okay, so I'm just sort of, I've got these pieces that I've already torn, and I'm just sort of seeing if there's a place where they really work, or seem to work for me right now. Okay. Whenever you have, you know, a face or eyes like that, you know, your focal point, that's going to be your focal point, right? That's where you're going to, it's going to demand some attention there. So that's right in the rule of thirds, luckily, as well. Okay. It is a bit of a slow process, and so I did sort of, you know, wonder how it would go to do this video, especially working on a whole little series like this. So I'm trying not to think too hard about anything, because for one thing, for time, I'm going to lose you guys if this goes on and on. Okay. Or send you into a nice nap, which would not be the most awful thing if you've had trouble sleeping at all. Okay. So I want to tear this and put this, and let this use as, you know, negative space around the Pharaoh's eyes here. I think I'll take my scissors and snip that little place right here. Can't really grab it. That's okay. I'll just be okay with that. All right, what would this tissue paper look if I overlapped it in certain places over top of our sort of house-like letter grid? Let's see. Let's try it. Let's reinforce that whole circle thing that we introduced. Tissue paper is thin, and because it's so nice and thin, it can disappear in a nice way, so you get this sort of layering, which is what I'm all about. Giving you a little mystery by creating those layers. Okay, that's kind of nice. I really like that. Okay, so this one area, they're here in the middle, which I need to middle top. And then I have these other areas here. We still want to introduce, excuse me, we want to introduce some more of that Pharaoh shape. I've got the eyebrows here. I've got a piece somewhere with a little bit of his ear. Okay, but again, it's sort of, oh, got another eye. Hey, hey. Okay. All right, let me introduce this eye over here somewhere. Thinking again about our rule of thirds. We'll just put it right here for now. And I do want a little bit of text to operate as some negative space here. I'm going to pick that piece up again because I want the print to go underneath it. So I'm gluing it down, And putting it there like that. All right. Oh, here's our ear with a little bit of the eye and a little white edge, which may or may not work in our favor. Might. I'm going to put it over here on this very first collage in the lineup. Okay. Okay. Maybe some fun words that I have cut or split. I also have some font and again some numbers because I had them from a font book that was just out in the hall at the Visual Arts Center, and I was like, yep, for free. Okay, love that. Okay, so we don't have any of our numbers over on this third one. The numbers could have significance to you, you know, if you find that you have a magazine or a book that has lots of different numbers. In this case, for me, it's just really a visual design feature. Okay. All right. Put it right. Well, maybe I'll put it just right here. Right there. Why not? Okay. I could check and see if any of this leftover fabric works and isn't overpowering in the collage. You know, kind of think about the visual weight of what we're putting into the piece. I'm really not sure of it right now, so I'm gonna hold off on that. You know, I have these textural pieces here, which I could add maybe in the finishing stages, and I'm not sure whether I will do that on the video just because of time and evaluating and so on. Okay, so I have this neat kind of feel of letter with part of that graph there. So I think maybe, yeah, maybe I can add that right here. And then I have this other one, which is pretty cool. And I think if I could introduce that over here somehow. And then grab my scissors and take a little bit of that off. And fill that space a little bit here. Okay, well, it's not really filling it the way I thought. Let me try this. Okay, there we go. We'll do it over here. And that's what's so nice about having these different ones is that you can try your ideas, right? You can go, oh wow, that seems to fit pretty well. I'll just put that right there. Okay, and I have these other pieces here. Now this is a nice opportunity to take something I've already used, like the yellow polka dot paper, and maybe just fill it in that little spot right there. Because if you have repetition, it's going to lead your eye throughout the collage in a nice way. Okay, I'll do that over here too. Maybe I'll wonder if that would be too much to put it there. You know what I'll do, I think, is just cut a skinny little strip of our polka dots and add that somewhere. Okay. Don't know if the length that I cut is the right length. Might not be, so let me tear a little bit off of it. And because my fingers are sticky at this point, it's a little tricky, but that's okay. It's really fun to do, and I hope you're getting the feeling of that right now. So you want to think about, you know, little shapes versus big shapes, texture versus smooth, that sort of thing. Okay, so we're getting really, really close. Let me give you another peek. That's what we have right now. Okay, we're getting super close to being finished with this. And now it's just a matter of what are we going to put in and how will it enhance what we already have. I love just sort of periods or exclamation marks, things like that too are kind of cool to put in. All right. Okay, I think this could use a word over here, part of a word. I have this at ease, which ironically enough, we're not really feeling at ease right now, are we? I mean, hopefully we are while we're doing this collage. That's really the goal here, is to give you some relief from worry in the news. Okay. All right. Again, I'm tearing it because I don't want it to necessarily be recognizable, and it just about doesn't completely fit in. So what I'm going to do is use some of my old page here and glue it to the back, just because I want to have something there. I don't want it to be showing the Bristol board. That's just me. It's just how I feel about it. But okay. And now I'm going to line the ease up here and just glue that in. I think I like it. You know, I'm not in love with it, but you know, we can evaluate later and cover things up and do whatever feels necessary, if it is necessary. A little triangle of that yellow and white. Wrapping paper right there, maybe. Okay, of course when you tear things, you may not be tearing it the right size, so that's all right. We're going to make it fit somehow. Okay. And we don't want to be too precious again, which I feel like I just was, but anyway, that's just being human, right? We have our moments. Okay. Oh, that's kind of cool. It's like a little square. At first I thought, you know, let me do another triangle, but now I've created a bit of a little feel of a square there. And I have a little triangle peeking there. No big deal. We'll just put a little bit of some kind of text over that. I'm sort of, I'm trying to kind of create that line, you know, keep that line that's created there. And at any time I can take my medium, you know, and just reinforce what I have, because at this point it's going to stay. It can be covered up if I don't like it later, but at this point in the process of the video, it's going to stay. All right. This is feeling a little bit too busy right there. I'm going to be honest with you. But what if after all of that I just cover up some of this? I don't know. I think I want to go ahead and finish some of the ones that are just sort of flowing, and I can always go back to that one. So I've torn this paper. I want it to fit in here. And all right, over toward that. It's okay, I'll move it over here. I have some more of that paper somewhere. Yes, here we go. All right. Again, we're getting some nice repetition. And if I'm lucky, I can tuck this underneath. Let me get some thicker paper here. Where's my thicker paper? Okay, if I'm lucky, I can tuck it underneath our, oh shoot. All right, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do a little intuitive tear here that I hope is going to be closer to fitting the way I want it to. Okay, and it is. All right, so now I can just simply attach that there. All right, now we've just got this one little area, and we may want to decide to pull in maybe a little bit of the font stuff. We haven't, oh, we have a little area over here too. Okay, fine. It's funny when I read some of the letters from the typing book, how certain words seem to somehow fit the time. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into what happened in that letter. Okay, now we've got this nice little area here, and okay, this shape is working for us here on this text pretty well, except maybe right there. Maybe if I slide it up a tad, and then I'll just actually just cut it later. And starting to stick to things. All right. Okay. So these two are now pretty much finished. I can evaluate. I could add some of that transparent tissue paper over here. I'll probably do that somewhere just for unity. Maybe even over top of this gray paper here would be fun. Let me try to do that. Doesn't have to be much. Okay, so I'm going to just put that right here over the gray paper. Okay, and while I'm at it, maybe a little bit over here somewhere. Okay. All right. Let me see. We've got the word ease there. Part of that word. I think I'll take some of these numbers from the font book, the old font book, the free book that I got. And just fill that little area there, a little open space. Now I have this triangle here, and also some little areas where it could use some text. And we've got that little triangle there. I like putting text here because I did get a lot of busyness going on, maybe a little too busy over here. And so I think it probably works to quiet some of the areas down a little bit. And again, this is for fun. We're not looking for perfection. We all hope everything that we do is just, you know, wonderful. Right? Every time. It just happened. It just happened, you know. It's just like, I can't even tell you how I did it, but it just happened. It was so great. LOL. Okay. Oh my gosh, I never did use that mesh. Remember that mesh that we talked about earlier? That's pretty cool, but I don't want to, you know, you don't want to overwhelm. I mean, part of this whole process is knowing when to say when and knowing when to just stop what you're doing and be, you know, be satisfied with what you have. I just happened to see this bit of a triangle from what I had cut earlier. I'm going to tear the edge of it. Okay. Okay. Maybe tear it on right here. Okay, again, I'd like it to be underneath this beautiful Japanese paper. So it's not completely dry, and I was happily able to lift it up, and that means I can lay this back down. Okay, I'm going to trim these with my scissors since we're going for the, you could tear it, you could have it hang over a bit, which could be interesting as well, but for now, for our purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and trim from behind, just so I'm not even looking at the front side. I don't want to be super critical. I just want to trim some of that excess off. Okay. Oops. This is a good place to sort of evaluate if you need more medium. And go ahead and, you don't want to overdo it with a medium, right? But if you don't have enough, then the paper's not connected very well. Okay, let me pull this one off and trim that off. There's so many different approaches. This is just one approach that I wanted to show you, just sort of using the idea of the grid and the rule of thirds and working with 3 at one time, which is really powerful, I think. Okay. And I can, of course, I can readjust these any way I want. I can look at them, you know, I can look at them landscape, and sometimes, you know, if it's not working one way. If it's a good composition, it will generally work any orientation when it's something abstract like this. It's not always the case. Sometimes there is definitely a stronger way for it to go. But if it's really not working in any of the orientations, then maybe just, you know, live with it for a while and see if it's maybe feeling too busy in certain places, and you could go back to it later. And all right, guys. Oops. Let me glue this down really quickly. It seemed to want to come up when I had messed with it earlier. Just tuck that piece of paper back there. And if you see the paper buckling in any way, it might mean that there's not enough medium underneath it. Maybe just that this one didn't have enough under it, and just simply, you know, put more medium on the bottom than on the top. Okay, for some reason, that one has some air bubbles in it, it looks like. What the glazing medium seems to do is it allows it to not dry too fast, so that you can go back in and you can fix this, which is great. Absolutely perfect to be able to do that. And I got that recipe from Crystal Neubauer online. She had a free course group that I didn't see all of it because I'm teaching online, but I saw a little bit of it. Okay, so here we go. Here is our series of 3 with a limited palette of color and very accessible things from around the house. Some old books, some magazine bits, some tissue paper. All right, you guys, take care. It's not frivolous to want to make something, to relax, to create. Enjoy it. Don't be hard on yourself. Just enjoy the process. It doesn't matter whether it turns into something that you love or not. Just the fact that you're giving yourself permission and time and the chance to feed that part of yourself right now, and we really all need it. That's important enough.